What we're going to do this time is take a look more at some of the other data structures. First, starting with array lists. We talked about arrays in the past, and so the main difference between the two is essentially that we can dynamically allocate when we remove or delete data within an array list. It automatically, dynamically changes the size of our array. So the way you add the class is this array list class here. And let me undo that, and then just do array list like that. Now, the reason this yellow line is here is because we haven't, we're not using it. So it's just letting us know. Now, inside of our Hello World class, I want to add my main. So if you notice, I just typed in the word main and press enter, and then it popped up. And that's a quick way of just creating a main class here. Now, the way you create an array list is you simply type out array list, and then within these brackets, you type the type of array. So for example, say we want to store a bunch of names. So I'll name this names equals new array list, and then another set of brackets, and then we close that off. So inside of this brackets, I want to make sure that I'm indicating the type there. So now if I want to add a name, I just simply write names dot, and then you can see add string. Now let's put a semicolon here. Oop, not there, here. So we close that off, and I can just type in exo. Now, well, what happens if we do, a sysout and just like an array, and we just type in names, and then we do a bracket, and we put 0 there inside our thing? Notice that we get an error. So we're not necessarily accessing element 0 this way when we're adding elements into our array list. So let's take a look at how we would actually do that. So what we would do instead is just simply write names.get, and then within this you'd put the index of the array you're trying to get. So now when I run this, you can see we get exo on the screen. But you can still access this element because it is at element 0. So let's go ahead, and I'm holding Alt and Shift here and pushing the down arrow and copying that 3 times. So let's say exo, Bill, and Tammy. All right, so here's Tammy with an I. Now I want to replace Bill because Bill got fired, and we need to, what I want to do is add an element instead of Bill here. I want to add a, let's copy this, I don't know, Sophia replaced. So what you can do is you can actually specify, so this is element 0 and this is 1. You can actually specify the index it's at, comma, and then inside of here I can write Sophia. So now what we can do is loop through these elements now that we know how to get it. Here, let's make sure my caps lock key is not on. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and type the word for here. And actually, let's close this out so you can see more of that. And let's move this over. And here's my for loop. And what I want to do is for I, so for, and then I'm going to arrow down to I, and that builds it out for me. And I don't want to do arrays.length. I really want to just go through my names here. So I'm going to change names.length. So as long as I is less than this. Now notice that we get an error here. So it's like, oh, well, I'm used to that for arrays, but how do I do that with an array list? Well, we're not working with lengths here. We're actually working with the size of our array. Okay, so I'm going to hit size there. And now what I'm saying, as long as the I is less than the size of this array, I want to print this to the screen. And just like we did with arrays in the past, I'm just going to replace 0 with I. And remember, I gets incremented, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all that other stuff. Now when I press F5, and actually let's go ahead and sys out here. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it before we replace Sophia and after. And then what I'll do is I'll just do just a blank system out here so that we get a space between them. So this is spacing out our output. And I'm going to save that, and let's see what that gives us. So you can see here, if we go through this, we have the exo Bill Tammy. We get that space that we included here, which is right here, and then we get a exo Sophia Bill Tammy. Interesting. The reason is we didn't exactly replace it. We just added it. We added 1. We actually added the element 1, Sophia, into Bill's old spot. Now we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we want to notice that it added that element at the bottom. So what we want to do is say we want to replace it. You just do names dot set and then 1 to Sophia. So let's go ahead and run this again. And you can see now at the bottom we have exo Bill Tammy. And then if we look at our new output here, we have exo Bill Tammy, exo Sophia Tammy. Sophia has now replaced Bill. So those are some basics of ArrayList. As we begin to build this out more and more, you'll see more advanced features.